Do you find yourself planning your outings around the nearest restroom? Are you waking up multiple times a night, interrupting that much-needed sleep, all because your bladder feels unpredictable? It's a frustrating reality for many of us, once we hit our 60s and beyond. That feeling of urgency, the unexpected leak, the constant awareness of where the bathroom is, it can really put a damper on enjoying life, can't it? It feels like you're losing a bit of freedom, a bit of control. And while there are many factors at play as our bodies change, what you might not realize is just how much the food on your plate is contributing to these very issues. A simple change in diet, avoiding certain things you might not suspect, could make a world of difference. It's like a hidden key to regaining some comfort and confidence. In this video, we're going to look at 5 specific foods that urologists often warn their patients about after 60 foods that could be silently irritating your bladder and contributing to those very symptoms. These aren't just random suggestions, they're common culprits that many people find worsen their urological health. Stick with me all the way to the end, because I'll also share something that might genuinely surprise you about taking control of your health in this way. Let's dive right in with the first food group you might want to reconsider if you're struggling with bladder sensitivity or other urological issues as you get older. We're talking about processed meats. Now, I know, bacon in the morning, a ham sandwich for lunch, sausages for dinner. These are staples for many of us, foods we've enjoyed for decades. But as we age, our bodies often become more sensitive, and what we could handle easily in our younger years might start causing problems now. Processed meats are often loaded with sodium, nitrites, nitrates, and other preservatives. These aren't just chemicals. They can act as irritants to the bladder lining for a significant number of people. Think of your bladder as a sensitive organ, which it is, when you introduce substances that are highly concentrated with salts and preservatives. It can react. This reaction often manifests as increased urgency, that sudden, strong need to go, more frequent urination, or even a burning sensation. It's not necessarily causing a bladder infection, but it's making the symptoms of an easily irritated bladder much worse. Let's consider sodium. For example, processed meats are notoriously high in salt. When you consume a lot of sodium, your body tries to get rid of the excess. This process can involve increased fluid intake, which then means more urine production. But beyond just producing more urine, high sodium intake can also directly irritate the bladder muscle and lining. It can make the bladder feel hyperactive, contracting more often and more intensely, leading to those urgent trips to the bathroom. Imagine eating a few slices of deli ham or a couple of hot dogs. You might not feel it immediately, but over the course of the day, as your body processes those foods, the effects can build up. You might notice you need to urinate more frequently than usual, or that the urge comes on so suddenly it's hard to ignore. It feels like your bladder just isn't cooperating anymore. Beyond sodium, the nitrates and nitrites used in processing meats like bacon, sausages, and cold cuts are another concern. These compounds are used for preservation and color, but research suggests they can also be bladder irritants for some individuals. They can affect the nerve signals that tell your bladder when it's full, potentially leading to a lower threshold for feeling the need to urinate. So, even if your bladder isn't holding a lot of liquid, it might be signaling that it's full much sooner than it actually is, creating that constant feeling of having to go. It's like a false alarm system being triggered by these ingredients. Think about those times you've had a big breakfast with lots of bacon or sausage. Did you notice yourself needing to use the restroom more often throughout the morning for many? There's a direct link. It's not just about the fluid from the meal. It's the irritating effect of the processed meat itself. And it's not just breakfast foods, lunch meats, pepperoni on your pizza, jerky snacks. They all fall into this category. It can be surprising how much processed meat is in our diet without us even realizing it. That seemingly innocent turkey slice on your sandwich, often heavily processed and full of sodium. This isn't about eliminating protein from your diet. Absolutely not. Protein is crucial as we age. It's about choosing protein sources that are less likely to irritate your system. Opting for fresh, unprocessed meats like chicken, fish, or lean cuts of beef you cook yourself is a much better bet. Even better, explore plant-based proteins like beans, lentils, and tofu. These options provide the necessary protein without the burden of excessive sodium and preservatives that can trouble your bladder. Making this switch isn't just good for your urological health. It's generally better for your heart health and overall well-being too. It might seem like a small change, but reducing your intake of processed meats could be one of the most impactful steps you take to calm an irritable bladder after 60. It's about being mindful of the hidden ingredients in convenience foods and choosing whole, unprocessed options more often. It's not about perfection, but progress. Even cutting back a few times a week can make a noticeable difference. Now that we've talked about the potential pitfalls lurking in the processed meat aisle, let's move on to another common culprit that might be causing you unexpected bladder issues. Another significant area urologists often point to, and one that surprises many people, involves artificial sweeteners. You find these in diet sodas, sugar-free snacks, sugar substitutes you might add to your coffee or tea, and even in some processed foods where you wouldn't expect them. The appeal is obvious, isn't it? We're often told to cut back on sugar, and these seem like a perfect guilt-free alternative. But for a significant number of individuals, especially as they get older and their bodies become more sensitive, artificial sweeteners can act as potent bladder irritants. Compounds like aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose, while non-caloric, are chemicals that your body has to process. For some bladders, these chemicals trigger a reaction that mimics the symptoms of an overactive bladder. Just like with processed meats, this means increased urgency, more frequent trips to the bathroom, and sometimes that uncomfortable feeling of not fully emptying your bladder. It's as if these artificial sweeteners are constantly tickling the bladder nerves, telling them it's time to go, even when there's not much there. Think about reaching for a diet soda instead of a regular one, thinking you're making a healthier choice, while you might be avoiding sugar. You could be introducing something that is far more irritating to your specific system. Many people find that after drinking a diet beverage, they need to urinate much more frequently within a short period. This isn't just the fluid intake, it's the specific effect of the artificial sweetener on their bladder lining and nerves. It's a pattern that once you recognize it, becomes very clear. Maybe you have sugar-free candies or use artificial sweetener in your baking. These seemingly innocent choices could be contributing to those nighttime trips to the bathroom, or that constant need to know where the nearest restroom is when you're out and about. The tricky part is that sensitivity to artificial sweeteners varies greatly from person to person. Some people can consume them with no noticeable effect on their bladder, while others find even a small amount causes significant irritation. This is why it's often a process of elimination and paying close attention to your body. If you're experiencing bladder issues and regularly consume products with artificial sweeteners, it's worth experimenting with cutting them out entirely for a week or two to see if your symptoms improve. It might be challenging at first, especially if you rely on diet drinks or sugar-free snacks, but switching to plain water, unsweetened tea, or water flavored with natural fruit slices like cucumber or lemon. Being mindful that citrus can be an irritant for some, which we'll discuss shortly, can make a huge difference. Think about the potential payoff: fewer urgent trips, better sleep, and more freedom to enjoy your day without constantly worrying about your bladder. It's about replacing something that might be causing you discomfort with something that is neutral and hydrating. Natural sugars in moderation from fruit or a small amount of honey might be better tolerated by your bladder than artificial alternatives. The goal isn't to deprive yourself of sweetness entirely, but to find ways to satisfy that craving that don't irritate your delicate bladder lining. Understanding that sugar-free doesn't always mean symptom-free for your bladder is a key insight. It's about listening to your body and recognizing patterns. If you notice your bladder symptoms are worse on days you consume artificial sweeteners, that's a strong signal that they might be a trigger for you. Making the switch might seem daunting, especially if you've been using these products for a long time. but the potential relief is significant. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and making choices that support your comfort and quality of life. Avoiding artificial sweeteners is one of those proactive steps you can take. Now, moving beyond these sneaky sweeteners, let's turn our attention to another group of foods that can sometimes stir up trouble for sensitive bladders. Foods that are otherwise quite healthy but need mindful consumption for some individuals. Building on the theme of substances that can irritate the bladder lining, we come to the third significant food group, acidic foods. This category includes many items that are otherwise considered very healthy, like citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruits, lemons, limes, tomatoes and tomato-based products, sauces, ketchup, salsa, and even vinegar. For many people, these foods are perfectly fine, providing valuable vitamins and antioxidants. However, for individuals with sensitive bladders or conditions like interstitial cystitis, the high acid content in these foods can significantly worsen symptoms. The acidity seems to irritate the bladder wall directly, leading to increased frequency, urgency, and sometimes pain or discomfort during urination. It's similar to how acidic foods can sometimes cause heartburn for people with sensitive stomachs. The acid is simply bothersome to a delicate lining. Think about starting your day with a glass of orange juice or having a big bowl of pasta with marinara sauce for dinner. While delicious and nutritious for many, for someone with a bladder that's prone to irritation, these could be triggers. The acid from the citrus or the tomatoes can exacerbate that feeling of needing to go constantly or make an existing urge even stronger. It's not about the volume of liquid in this case, but the chemical nature of the liquid itself. A tall glass of water won't irritate your bladder, but that same volume of orange juice might. The tricky part is that tomatoes and citrus are so prevalent in our diets. They're in dressings, sauces, drinks, and countless prepared foods. Identifying them as potential triggers means becoming a bit of a food detective. If you notice your bladder symptoms are worse after having pizza with tomato sauce, chili, or a salad with a vinaigrette dressing, it might be the acidity at play. This doesn't mean you have to avoid these healthy foods forever, but it might mean reducing portion sizes, consuming them less frequently, or experimenting to see which specific acidic foods are most bothersome to you. For example, some people react strongly to tomato sauce, but are fine with a small amount of fresh tomato. Others find oranges are a problem, but lemons and water are okay in moderation. It's highly individual. If you suspect acidic foods are an issue, try eliminating them for a week or two and see if your symptoms improve. If they do, you can try reintroducing them one by one, in small amounts, to identify your specific triggers and tolerance levels. You might find that you can enjoy a small amount of tomato sauce occasionally without significant issues, or that switching from orange juice to apple juice, which is generally less acidic, makes a big difference. The key is awareness and experimentation. It's about finding a balance where you can still enjoy a varied diet without constantly aggravating your bladder. For instance, instead of a vinegar-based dressing, you might try one based on olive oil and herbs, instead of a tomato-heavy sauce. Look for cream-based sauces or explore international cuisines that rely less on tomatoes. It's about finding delicious alternatives that are kinder to your bladder. This sensitivity to acid is often heightened as we age, possibly due to thinning of the bladder lining or changes in muscle function. What was never a problem before might become one now. It's not a sign that something is drastically wrong, but simply that your body's needs and sensitivities are changing. Pay attention to how your body feels after consuming these foods. That sharp, sudden urge or increased frequency could be a direct result of the acid irritating your bladder. By understanding this potential link, you gain another tool in managing your urological health and improving your comfort day to day. It allows you to make informed choices about what you eat and drink, empowering you to reduce discomfort and improve your quality of life. Now, leaving the acidic realm behind, let's talk about another food category that brings the heat in more ways than one, and can also be a source of bladder troubles for many. Moving on from acidic foods, let's delve into the fiery world of spicy foods. Many of us enjoy a bit of heat in our meals, a dash of hot sauce, spicy peppers in a stir-fry, or a curry with a kick. While these can certainly wake up your taste buds, they can also wake up your bladder in a way you might not appreciate, especially as you get older. The compounds that give spicy foods their heat, like capsaicin found in chili peppers, can irritate the lining of the bladder and urethra. When these irritants are consumed, they can trigger a similar reaction to acidic foods, leading to increased urgency, frequency, and sometimes even a burning sensation during urination. It's like pouring something irritating directly onto sensitive tissue. The effect varies greatly from person to person. Just like tolerance for spice itself, some people can eat the hottest peppers without any bladder issues, while others find even a mild salsa causes problems. However, it's a very common trigger for those with sensitive bladders or conditions like overactive bladder. Think about having a meal that's particularly spicy, maybe some hot wings, a spicy curry, or a dish heavy on red pepper flakes. Do you notice yourself needing to go to the bathroom more often in the hours that follow? Does the urge feel stronger or more sudden? For many, there's a clear connection. The irritation caused by the capsaicin can make the bladder muscles contract more readily, leading to those sudden powerful urges. It can also make the bladder feel more sensitive to filling, so you feel the need to go even when it's not very full. This can be particularly disruptive if you enjoy spicy food in the evening, as it could contribute to those bothersome nighttime awakenings to use the restroom. It's not just about the obvious sources of heat like chili peppers. Some spices that might not seem overtly hot can still be irritating to a sensitive bladder. Though capsaicin is the most common culprit, pay attention to how your bladder reacts after different types of spicy meals. It might be helpful to keep a food diary for a week or two, noting when you eat spicy food and what your bladder symptoms are like. This can help you pinpoint if spicy food is a trigger for you and, if so, how much heat you can tolerate before symptoms flare up. If you find that spicy foods are indeed causing you trouble, you don't necessarily have to eliminate all spice from your diet. You can experiment with reducing the amount of chili or hot sauce you use, or opting for dishes that use milder spices. Exploring flavors from cuisines that rely less on intense heat and more on aromatic spices like ginger, cumin, coriander, or turmeric, while still being mindful that any strong spice can potentially be irritating for some might offer satisfying alternatives without the bladder discomfort. It's about finding that balance and understanding your body's individual reaction. Just like with acidic foods, this is about listening to your body's signals. If your bladder feels uncomfortable or overactive after a spicy meal, that's your body telling you it might be best to go easy on the heat next time. Making these adjustments allows you to enjoy food without the unwelcome side effects of bladder irritation, contributing to greater comfort and a better quality of life as you age. It's another piece of the puzzle in managing your urological health proactively. Now, for the fifth and final food-beverage category we're highlighting, one that is a daily habit for many of us and a significant potential irritant for sensitive bladders. This one might be the most challenging for some to address, but the potential benefits are often substantial. So, we've covered processed meats, artificial sweeteners, acidic foods like citrus and tomatoes, and the heat from spicy dishes. The fifth and final category that urologists often flag, and it's a big one, is caffeine and alcohol. These are ubiquitous in our society, enjoyed daily by millions. But for many people over 60, especially those experiencing bladder issues, caffeine and alcohol can be significant culprits. Let's start with caffeine, found in coffee, tea black and green, many sodas, and even chocolate. Caffeine is a diuretic, meaning it increases urine production. That alone means more trips to the bathroom. But beyond that, caffeine is also a bladder stimulant. It can make the bladder muscle contract more frequently and more strongly, leading to increased urgency and frequency, sometimes even before the bladder is anywhere near full. It's like your bladder gets jittery from the caffeine. Just like you might feel restless after too much coffee. Think about that morning coffee ritual, that afternoon tea break, or that soda with lunch. While they might give you a mental boost, they could be directly contributing to your bladder symptoms throughout the day. If you notice that your need to urinate increases shortly after consuming caffeine, that's a strong indicator that it's affecting your bladder, and the effects can be long-lasting. A cup of coffee in the morning can influence your bladder behavior for hours. Reducing or eliminating caffeine is one of the most commonly recommended dietary changes for people with overactive bladder symptoms, precisely because it can have such a profound impact. It doesn't mean you have to switch to decaf immediately. Though that's an option. You could try reducing your intake gradually, maybe one less cup of coffee a day, or switching from coffee to a less caffeinated beverage like herbal tea. Experiment with how much caffeine you can tolerate before symptoms worsen. Some people find they can handle a small amount, while others need to cut it out entirely. Switching to decaf coffee or tea can be a good first step, but be aware that even decaf contains trace amounts of caffeine, and some decaffeination processes can introduce other chemicals that might be irritating. Herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint are often well tolerated and can be a soothing alternative. Water remains the best beverage for bladder health. It hydrates without irritating. Now, let's talk about alcohol. Like caffeine, alcohol is also a diuretic, increasing urine production. But it too can directly irritate the bladder lining and interfere with the brain signals that tell your bladder when it's full and when to hold. This combination of increased urine production and increased bladder sensitivity can lead to significant issues with frequency and urgency, especially if consumed in the evening. It's a common experience for people to find themselves needing to use the bathroom multiple times during the night after having alcoholic drinks with dinner. Different types of alcohol can also have varying effects. For example, carbonated alcoholic beverages like beer and champagne can be doubly irritating. The alcohol itself is a problem, and the carbonation can also cause bladder sensitivity for some. Wine, particularly red wine, is also a common trigger for many. Just like with caffeine and the other foods we've discussed, sensitivity to alcohol is individual. Some people can tolerate a small amount without issues, while others find even one drink causes problems. If you're experiencing bladder symptoms, especially nighttime frequency, consider reducing or eliminating alcohol intake, particularly in the hours before bed. It's not about never enjoying a glass of wine or a beer again, but about understanding its potential impact on your bladder health and making choices that support better sleep and comfort. This might mean saving alcoholic drinks for special occasions or opting for non-alcoholic alternatives. Both caffeine and alcohol can significantly disrupt sleep patterns, and needing to use the bathroom at night only makes this worse. By reducing your intake of these beverages, you're not only helping your bladder, you're also potentially improving your sleep quality, which is vital for overall health as we age. Think about the freedom that comes from not being constantly tethered to the restroom. Imagine sleeping through the night more often, waking up feeling more rested. Reducing these irritants, particularly caffeine and alcohol, can be a powerful step towards achieving that. It requires mindfulness and perhaps changing some long-standing habits. But the potential reward in terms of comfort and quality of life is immense. It's about taking control, understanding the connection between what you consume and how your body feels, and making informed choices that prioritize your well-being. So, we've talked about processed meats with their sodium and preservatives, the surprising irritation from artificial sweeteners, the acidity in citrus and tomatoes, the heat from spicy foods, and the diuretic and stimulating effects of caffeine and alcohol. These 5 categories are often highlighted by urologists because they are common triggers for bladder irritation and worsened urinary symptoms, especially for people over 60. Now, does this mean you can never touch these foods or drinks again? Absolutely not. The key message here isn't about absolute deprivation, but about awareness, understanding your body, and making informed choices. Every single person is different. What bothers one person's bladder might be perfectly fine for another. The list of foods we've discussed includes common culprits, but your individual triggers might be different. This is why listening to your body is so incredibly important. Pay attention to how you feel after consuming different foods and beverages. Do your symptoms, the urgency, the frequency, the discomfort, seem worse after certain meals or drinks? Keeping a simple food diary for a week or two, noting what you eat and drink and when your symptoms occur, can be incredibly revealing. It helps you identify your personal triggers. Once you know what seems to be causing issues, you can experiment. Try reducing or eliminating just one category of suspected foods for a week or two and see if you notice an improvement. If you do, that's a strong sign. If not, try another category. This process of elimination might take a little time and patience, but discovering what specifically bothers your bladder is incredibly empowering. It allows you to make targeted changes that can bring significant relief without unnecessarily restricting your entire diet. Remember the painful reality we talked about at the beginning: the constant worry, the interrupted sleep, the feeling of being limited by your bladder. Making these small dietary adjustments can directly address those issues. Imagine fewer sudden urges, being able to go out for longer periods without needing a bathroom break, sleeping more soundly through the night. These aren't just minor conveniences. They significantly impact your quality of life and your ability to enjoy your retirement years to the fullest. It's about regaining some of that freedom and confidence that bladder issues can steal away. And the surprising thing I mentioned at the beginning, it's how quickly you might notice a difference once you identify and reduce your personal bladder irritants. For many people, symptoms start to improve within days or a couple of weeks of eliminating a major trigger like artificial sweeteners or caffeine. It's a much faster path to relief than some might expect. It shows just how much of an impact these dietary factors can have. Making these changes isn't about dieting in a traditional sense. It's about personalized health optimization. It's about being kind to your bladder and supporting its function as you age. And you don't have to tackle everything at once. Start with one thing. Maybe try switching from regular soda to water for a week, or cut back on processed meats. Small, manageable changes are often the most sustainable and effective, and while diet can play a significant role, it's also important to remember that urological health is complex. If you're experiencing significant or persistent symptoms, it is absolutely crucial to talk to your doctor or a urologist. They can help diagnose the cause of your symptoms, rule out any underlying medical conditions like infections or other issues, and provide personalized advice and treatment options. Diet is a powerful tool in managing symptoms, but it's part of a larger picture of health. Your doctor can offer guidance tailored to your specific situation. Taking control of your diet is a proactive step you can take, often alongside other treatments or strategies recommended by your doctor. It puts some of the power back in your hands. It's about feeling better, being more comfortable, and not letting bladder issues dictate your life. It's about enjoying time with family and friends, pursuing your hobbies, and traveling without constant worry. So, I encourage you to be mindful of these 5 food categories. Listen closely to your body's signals and experiment to find what works best for you. Share your experiences in the comments below. Have you found that certain foods make your bladder symptoms better or worse? Your insights could help others in our community. If you found this information helpful, please give the video a like. It helps us know we're creating content that resonates with you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more practical health tips and advice tailored for living your best life after 60. Remember, small changes really can make a big difference to your health and happiness. You have the power to make choices that support your well-being. Live your best life at every age.